PMDD shaped my life for 17 years before I could name it. I spent those years searching for answers, questioning my sanity, and desperately seeking treatments that actually worked. My painful journey had an unexpected twist. Helping others heal from PMDD became my life's purpose. Hi, I'm Jess, a board-certified nutritional therapist, coach, the founder of Her Mood Mentor, and your host. This is PMDD Pep Talk, a weekly reminder that your suffering is real, your experience is valid, and your future is brighter than your symptoms suggest. Each week, we're going to explore the truths about PMDD that nobody talks about. The kind of truths that shift something deep inside you and make you think, maybe there's more possible than I imagined. Whether you're in the depths of luteal darkness or riding the clarity of your follicular phase, you're exactly where you need to be. Because here's what I know for sure. Healing PMDD isn't just about managing symptoms, it's about transforming your life. This challenge, as brutal as it can be, is an invitation to know yourself more deeply and live a more joyful, purpose-filled life. PMDD might feel like your whole story, but it's just a chapter, and you get to write what comes next. Welcome to PMDD Pep Talk. Quick pep talk pause. Remember that everything we talk about here is meant to educate and inspire. Always team up with your healthcare provider for personal medical advice. All right, now let's get into it. Hello, this is Jess with Her Mood Mentor, and today I'm meeting with one of our PMDD rehab students and one-to-one clients, Mariah. She's here to share her PMDD story and her inspiring symptom transformation going through our programs. So hello, Mariah, we're so happy to have you here.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yay! So exciting. So we'll just go ahead and get into it. I'm curious to hear, of course I know, but our listeners are curious to hear about your experience with PMDD and what that was like, how long it was going on, what symptoms you were experiencing. So we're going to zoom back quite a few years, but let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my earliest memory of kind of the spiral that happens every month is 2019. I just gotten engaged. So kind of already a fragile time in life. And I was like, oh, do I have what's happening? Is it through the relationship? So constantly questioning. Thankfully I had 2 normal weeks. So I could be like, oh no, everything's amazing. But then that it was so hard leading into marriage with that. And I had had a year of birth control kind of around that time as well that intensified, the symptoms. So that's kind of like my earliest memory. And then, genuinely has been the hardest part of marriage for us has been what I was calling just really bad PMS, and essentially felt like I was failing womanhood because I couldn't handle PMS. I thought everyone else was doing better with it. So it's been a long journey, and I got to the end. I mean, there's more I could share in that too, but I got to the end of, or the beginning of this year, and basically was starting to feel like I needed to seek maybe I had bipolar, and I wanted to be honest with that. If that was something I had, okay, let's get the help. Right. So I was thinking maybe I had that or severe depression, but it was only there 10 days out of the month. So it was just really confusing. And it was a very lonely thing for my husband and I to go through too. Just because I was just calling it PMS. I knew it was that time period right before everything. So yeah.
Yeah. So 6 years you were navigating these symptoms, marriage, motherhood, all the things, life mixed into the symptoms. There was a lot of confusion around what's happening. You narrowed it down to, okay, there's some sort of cyclical nature related to my cycle, which is a really big part, a really big piece of the puzzle when we're finally able to access support that is right for what we're going through. But tell us a little bit about what symptoms were you noticing? What symptoms were getting in the way of your relationship? What was the most common and most challenging symptoms that you were facing each cycle?
Yeah, I think it just caused me to question very deeply first of all, my sanity, but also just my worth in a lot of different areas. So probably the most severe was feeling like my life wasn't worth living and led to scary thoughts. And that freaked even me out. And multiple times where, just realized I couldn't be alone. I needed my husband to be there, a friend to be there. And so that was like the worst of it. But then everything else was hard too, right? Like I would question it. It was like, oh, we're definitely on the verge of divorce, like 100%. And then like 3 days later, it's like, this is the best thing ever. Like everything's great. We're best friends, and it just, I think that was the hardest part. Just made me question things really intensely. And, it would be like a little, so the triggers are still there, right? So there would be triggers and it would cause a spiral. So maybe it would be a financial question that my husband had, or maybe a confusing conversation with a friend, or even like struggling with my weight or something like that. Normal situations humans have to deal with, right? And normally I could process through them okay and work through them and talk through them. But during those times, during the luteal phase, it felt like my world was falling apart, and I could actually feel my body just kind of feel like it's falling apart. I always kind of wanted to just like run away. That was another big thing. I just always wanted to just flee whatever I could. So obviously that's hard, holding down a job, but also having a toddler, can't run from that, So yeah, and then anxiety, worry, were always hard as well. So it was a lot.
Yeah, that classic dysphoria coming in, making you question everything, making you feel dissatisfied with your life choices. The dysphoria is such a great word to go along with PMDD. It completely sums it up, all of the
Yeah,
confusion
exactly.
and frustration and the nervous system dysregulation
Mm-hmm.
of that fight or flight playing out. How
Yeah.
many days per cycle were you experiencing these symptoms?
Yeah, it's crazy to look back, even through coaching with you. I started tracking from the very beginning, and um, even before that, it was almost like the day after ovulation, I would sometimes almost like feel a flip. And we actually named my like luteal phase person because it helped. Like, okay, it feels like a different person, honestly. And so sometimes it really genuinely was almost 2 weeks, and then 10, sometimes four days, depending. 4 days was like best case scenario, but usually more like 4 to 10. Um, yeah, long part of the month, honestly.
Yeah. So sometimes up to 2 weeks. Obviously, lots of things impact the cycle. So some of the months were better than others.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So you had tried various things. So, before coming into the program, taking the birth control, what else had you tried to navigate the symptoms?
Um, I remember around 2019, I was like, okay, let me just do some research on like supplements that could be helpful with PMS symptoms. But again, I didn't really know what to really research because I didn't know about PMDD. So I had tried like a bunch of, I think ashwagandha, a couple other things I had looked up on the internet. But it was so overwhelming because there's so many supplements, right? So I didn't have any direction with it. And so I'd done a couple of that, and then I'd given up because I'm like, I don't even know what's working and I can't keep this up for years, like all these supplements. So I stopped that really quick. Did the birth control for a year, and then honestly, like just lots of prayer and lots of kind of like is it white knuckling it? Yeah, lots of like white knuckling it through those weeks and those days. So yeah, haven't had a lot. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always knew I didn't want to do, I always told my mom like verbatim, I was like, I wish there was an antidepressant I could just take for 10 days out of the month. But I knew as a nurse, like that's just not the way it works typically, right? You have to have like get to a certain level. And so I had never taken that step, but I was really close to like needing that, feeling like I really needed help towards the beginning of this year. It got into like kind of a crux.
Yeah. Yeah, that line was getting drawn in the sand of, hey, this is impacting my marriage too
Mm-hmm.
much. This is impacting my quality of life getting in the way of the
Hmm.
things that you were wanting to do. So I'm curious what motivated you to take this type of approach.
So once I found out, so my friend was visiting and she noticed, she's also a nurse, but she was probably paying attention more in obstetrics. Or honestly, I don't know how she knew because I don't remember them teaching in obstetrics. But she was like, Mariah, are you sure you don't have PMDD? And I was like, okay, what is that? Yes, I have that. As soon as I started researching, I was like, this is me. And it was just so validating. But pretty much right away, I realized that I didn't want to go on birth control, obviously, because we're wanting to grow our family, and I didn't want antidepressants. I really wanted to work with my body, and so my mom actually found her mood mentor, your Instagram on Instagram, and she was like, "Wait, maybe you should like try to talk to this lady. Like this could be good." And so just realizing that there was actually this whole other route I could go, um, and learning that the PMDD symptoms were actually not, it was actually my body talking to me. And I really connected with that because I really wanted to treat any underlying things. And praise the Lord, too, because there was a lot going on underneath as well as PMD, things that made the symptoms worse that I would have never known unless we had gone through the blood work and worked through that together. Um, So I didn't want to just bandage things. I don't want to just put a band-aid over something. I really wanted to like listen to my body and like what's actually going on? What do I actually need? And not just like physically, but also like emotionally, relationally, so many different areas of my life. What's out of whack here? And why is it making my symptoms worse? So it's honestly just helped in all the areas, not just in this one, the PMDD symptoms, but in how to just like navigate life a little bit. Um, yeah, and I think I just like, anyways, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm skipping to more questions, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You wanted to take more of a holistic route. You wanted to see the symptoms as what they are, which is a communication. You wanted to dig a little bit deeper into your blood work, your lab tests to uncover, okay, what all is driving these symptoms to be worse and as bad as they are. And that's something that we do in our comprehensive program. We turn over all of the stones and explore all of these different areas of hormone health that in our lives that are impacting our symptoms. I'm curious going into this because you had already tried a lot. You had been dealing with these symptoms for 6 years. You were at a crux of like this, I need to see progress here. Like this is really negatively impacting my quality of life. What were some of your fears before and as you joined the program?
Um, for me personally, honestly, I don't even think I had any fears. I was just so grateful that someone was going to meet with me every 2 weeks and care for me in this way. Like it was worth its weight in gold. And there were so many days where I just would get on and I was just like, I can't, like, I was just overwhelmed with gratitude that like there was somebody out there that knew how to do this, that could walk me through this. And so honestly, I can't really think of any. I mean, I'm maybe fear of failure or something like, oh, maybe I won't see the success.
Mhm.
But honestly, just the education alone for me was empowering. So it's like, even if the symptoms were just as bad, which they're not, I still feel like I would be that much better because of just understanding it better.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe that, but even that, I'm like, I don't know. I was so desperate. And you get to that point, where I'm like, I needed help so bad. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that personalization was such a priority for you. You really wanted someone who was going to be there with you, who was going to look at this through the lens of your life and show up and
mhm.
help you be accountable, help you advocate for yourself as you're making the changes. So that was a big motivator for you choosing to take this specific path. And I'm so glad to hear you didn't have that many fears and you were so grateful throughout the whole program. I loved getting your messages week after week. Like it's just so wonderful to have someone walk this path with me. And I felt the same. I felt the same with all of our
Mhm.
clients. It's such a gift
Mhm.
to play this role for the women who are ready for it. And it's been such a powerful thing to see you change your
Mm,
life through changing these symptoms. And that is just starting to unfold. You just graduated from the program.
yeah,
So more and
yeah,
more of that is on its way to you. But
yeah.
to be there through the process of that initial change and that initial symptom reduction is just so fun to do it together. All right. So my next question is to get into how taking this approach through our program, how that played out for you, what symptom reduction, what management, what you're walking out of the program with. Because we talked about where this started. We talked about how long you've been experiencing it, what your symptoms have been, how that was impacting your life. We talked about why you decided to take this type of approach and what were some of your fears getting into it. So then the next logical question is, okay, so what happened? Give us the details.
Um, okay, so there's so much, but first of all, I think a big part of it is just awareness. So one of our first, I think it might have been the first session, was we drew out my top. We will start with 10, then 5, and then 3, like top values. And so we worked from that perspective. And that's actually been huge for me. So through the grid of my top value of being a peacemaker in life, um, kind of just like that was my driving force and recognizing that. So the reason why PMDD rubbed me so bad was because I didn't want to destroy my family. I wanted to bring peace to my family and to my, circles that I run in. So that was huge. And then another part of awareness was just every cycle I tracked like my top 10 symptoms and the intensity and the duration and all that. So that just got a good like baseline. And then throughout the weeks, I was able to see, it was just really encouraging to see, like when the symptoms were more severe, I was also supposed to write like what's going on in life. And that was just really helpful for me. And I actually find myself doing that now, even though I'm not doing the full chart, um, to just like check in with myself. Like, actually, this is all going on right now. And so just bringing a lot of like compassion to myself in that and recognizing, okay, like this might be a tough week, but this is also all going on. So that was big, just like learning how to like ebb and flow with what's going on in life and giving myself grace. So that was really big. Another big process we went through was just figuring out my like supplement needs, which was pretty simple with the like I did the Mariah supplement like powder, and then I had a couple add-ons with it because my needs were like a little bit higher in certain areas. And so going forward with that, again, there might be some adjustments in the future, but it was just helpful to be like, okay, here's our baseline, like let's slowly add on things with what's needed. I just really didn't want to do the like thousands of dollars into supplements, right? Like I wanted to do something that I could do for like a lifelong like intervention or something. So that was really helpful, and have definitely seen just like a steady decrease in severity. And I think something that's been helpful for me is understanding like maybe I'll suddenly be healed from this and never have to like manage symptoms. But understanding that this is kind of a journey. And I think one session I was like, Jess, why do I have this? Like, why me, basically? And you're like, right, everybody's been given something. And I just really liked that response of like, hey, like you've been dealt this card and you can decide like how to play it and like how to deal with it. And it was just very empowering. Like, okay, this is my thing. And I actually get to like rock this if I want to, and like work with it. So where was I going with that? Yeah. So it's a journey, like understanding it's a journey, and there's going to be like a toddler, we're going to fall, but we get back up again. And the stumbling feels like a little bit less now. The triggers are all there still, honestly, but I know them because we've worked on figuring out what they are. And I've like studied them ad nauseum now, figuring out like, oh, that's a thing for me. So, and just like working on like when there's a trigger, what coping mechanisms work best with those. And so, yeah. And then, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing has been learning like how to be a teammate with my husband in it. And so now we approach those weeks on the same team. It's not him against me or me against him in it. It's like us against PMDD, but PMDD is also working with us. But like, you know what I mean? And so he has tools under his belt. I have tools under my belt, and we have a way of like communicating about it, which is huge because before it was just, oh, I'm spiraling, like freak out, you know? And he's like, whoa, why are we freaking out? Everything was good yesterday. And so now it's, oh, okay, so here we are on the calendar. Let's look at next week. What do we got going on? How do we, and so it's just very like a flow, if that makes sense. Like we're working with it, we're working together. It's not perfect all the time. Like truly, you were right. I just graduated. And so we're working out the kinks, but I am very encouraged. Like we're set on a good path. Another big thing, sorry, another big thing is understanding like just nutrition and exercise and how that affects it. And so one thing I like realized during this was I don't like to be high maintenance. And so feeling like I need to be like on some diet and some regime or whatever regimen. Anyway, sorry, I'm learning a different language right now. So I'm like, how do I say that? It bothered me at the beginning. Like I didn't want anyone to feel like I was eating different or anything like that. And so working through that and realizing your body needs certain things at certain times. And when we allow our bodies to crash and like have these big sugar highs and all that and all the impacts it has on PMDD, that was just really empowering. And it was Isaiah and I were talking, my husband and I were talking about the other day, like it's either I choose this way of eating and like feel high maintenance for a second, but really nobody is even going to notice, or we have these really severe symptoms. So it's like, honestly, it was an easy yes to that. So that's been another really big thing for us, honestly.
So much to unpack there. So many wins and so many different levels. I love it. I love it because you're representing the complexity of the process and the program. We're coming at this and supporting this from so many different angles. It plays out differently for every single client, but there's a process that we guide you through, and it is effective. We see it again and again. It looks different for every single client, like I said, but we have to uncover all of these stones because again, different things are driving different women's symptoms. And we have to look at it we have to take a personal approach to it with your lab work, with collecting that symptom data, with running your symptom assessments. There's a lot of like data driven aspects of the program that build confidence in what we're doing and also provide the information that we need to target protocols to your symptoms specifically. But there are also so many facets of the program that do deeper work on your relationship with yourself, on your relationship with the people in your life, with how these symptoms are holding you back from living the life that you want, why so much guilt and shame is attached to the process, working through values. I mean, there's a lot of really impactful processes that we guide you through that are less quantifiable than the lab work, the symptom mapping data, the assessments, and all of that. So it really comes together and in an orchestra of approaches, but you're getting to walk out of this with so many tools and so many resources and so much awareness and education that it really changes the way that you're perceiving what's happening to you with these symptoms and what has happened to you over the 6 years in your case that you dealt with them. There's a lot of recovery and healing and grief that you have to go through when you start to come to cycles that are much more manageable, much easier to navigate, less symptom days. You know, we all want that. That's why we come into this program, but there's can be some pain that comes from feeling better when you realize how sick you previously were.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, numbers wise, you said when we started, there were cycles where you were experiencing symptoms for 14 days. What what have has your symptom pattern looked like after the work that we've done?
Yeah, I would say on average now, I would say 4 is more the average, but again, in those 4 days, it is way less severe. And it's actually been helpful. It's been one of the craziest summers in a long time. So it's been helpful to see like even in that and how we can manage. And so again, I kind of feel like that shift a little bit post ovulation. Like I can kind of feel it, but it doesn't feel like as scary. Like I'm like, okay, now my body it's like I feel like it's what the menstrual cycle is supposed to feel like. Like your body needs different things at different times, right? Like the whole like winter summer analogy you always talk about. And so I think I just again, yeah, it's maybe around 4 days where I can really feel it. Um and then in that just like working with it a lot better.
Yeah, so significant reduction in days that
Mm-hmm.
you're experiencing these symptoms, and then also a reduction in severity within those days. And a lot plays into that. Your mindset work that you've done, your nervous system work that you've done, the nutritional work that you've done, the education that you've gained to help really shift your perspective, all the relational work that you've done. I mean, it's just on and on and on. We can keep going. You've done so much work. But within 4 months, we see a massive reduction in symptom duration from 14 days down to 4, and a massive reduction in symptom severity throughout that 14 days and now the 4 days. So I'm curious, I have 2 more questions. As you've seen this reduction in symptoms, right, we have the picture that you painted before of this was impacting me for 14 days actively. Then of course there's like the days before that I'm scared, the days after that I'm recovering. This is impacting your marriage, your parenting, your work performance, your progress towards your goals, all of the things. As you've seen those symptoms reduce in duration and severity, what is shifting in the realm of the quality of your life?
um Hope is a big word. I think just looking towards the future, I think there's a lot more hope. Like there's so many things I can continue working on too that that we'll just keep kind of like chipping away at like little adjustments because some of these things like it's changing patterns I've had for years, right? So you've been gracious in that reminding like it's not going to be in the 4 months, right? Like it's going to be just the knowledge and like slowly working on it. And so I think just a lot of hope and this was interesting too. A lot of what I would do is like I would feel like I needed to kind of like recluse, like I needed to be like a hermit a bit during that time. Like I needed to protect everybody else around me. So I needed to remove myself. And actually there was like a shift like halfway through our time together that I was like, it was really weird. I like all of a sudden knew that I needed to go find people and be around people. And that was like bizarre to me in my luteal phase. I was like, I never want to be around people during that time. So that was just like, that's been a big thing. Like actually like embracing my community around me during that time. And sure, there's days where I'm like, I just know like I need more rest in a different way to manage symptoms. But that's been big, just like realizing I actually want to be around people during that time. And um, that's been really like healthy for me to have that. So that's been a big thing. Yeah, I think just like my current job right now is being a parent to a toddler. So I think even in my job, like it was so hard during those weeks to manage toddler emotions and my own big emotions. Like he would be screaming. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I also would like to be screaming right now. And so I think I've been a more present mom too. And just in those weeks and just learning how to like lean on my support system, lean on my husband in those times and be like, I just need a little bit extra in these days. Um, so I'm excited for him to grow up with a mom who's safe, you know, and I think that was one of my biggest fears, like as he was getting more cognizant, because he's 2 years old now. As he's getting more cognizant, I was like, man, it's kind of freaking me out. Like he's not just this little newborn that's kind of like unaware of things. Like he's actually like soaking up things around him. He's repeating words, and like that just made me even more want to get better.
Mm.
So that's been big.
That just pierced my heart. Like him growing up with a mom that's safe.
Hmm.
What,
Yeah.
Mariah? Oh my goodness. Like the fact that you can transform something in that amount of time and come out of the process saying a sentence like that. Like
Yeah.
6 years you were experiencing these symptoms. 6 years
Yeah.
they had been impacting you. And 4 months of work, it's not done. This is just the
Yeah.
beginning, right? But to
Yeah.
come out of that process and feel more present in your relationship with him, feel like you can be the mother that you want to be, and feel like you're creating an environment of safety for him, which you were not feeling like before, based on how
Hmm.
severe the symptoms were, that
Hmm.
that we need like a trophy. We need to send you a trophy
Safe,
because
safe mom award.
I mean, that is such something to be
Yeah.
so proud of. And this didn't magically happen. I didn't do
Hmm.
this. You did this.
Hmm. Hmm.
You put in the work, you showed up, you advocated for yourself, and you are becoming the mother that you want to be. And through
Yeah.
that, raising a healthier child. Like
Yeah.
the impact of PMDD, it has such a ripple effect, most commonly negatively, unfortunately, on
Hmm.
those closest to us. And those closest to us are
Hmm.
the ones that we love the most. Our partners,
Yeah.
our children, our parents, our friends. And that's what
Yeah.
motivates so many women to take this type of approach because they're hurting the things that they love most.
Yeah.
So then to see that ripple effect changing from like what's so often negative into something that's very positive,
Hmm.
not isolating for your community, leaning on your husband and improving the relationship that you have as a
Hmm.
team now rather than against each other. Like that
Hmm.
spilling out in such a positive way is not something that people think of when they think about PMDD, not something that they think is
No.
possible.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So, so inspiring to hear. So thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for being here today and sharing your story and
Yeah.
helping raise hope for others. I have some inspiring quotes to read before we wrap up from our sessions, and I'm just curious to hear your reaction to them. As I read them, some of them you have already kind of recapped, but I want to just read what's on the page. And this is, I love these. Oh, this first one. I appreciate my body so much.
Go body.
Go body! Like, not
I
something that
really
we say.
do. I
Yeah.
really do. Like just knowing what it can do and like how it's been communicating with me. And um yeah, I just have a lot more respect for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've really fostered such a more positive relationship with your body after feeling like it was attacking you, as you
Hmm.
do with these symptoms. It's not fun, but you've really worked to change your perception of that and see the symptoms for what they are. And then through targeting the different, low nutrient status and things that we saw in your blood labs and things that we saw from your assessments, like you have the proof of like, oh yeah, my body was trying to communicate to me and
Yeah.
I'm listening and now I'm answering and this is working in a new way. Another thing you said was, I feel like my brain is rewiring for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I think there's a lot. There was so much to rewire. And I think when it came down to emotions, that was a really big one because there was a lot of shame around emotions, especially during the luteal phase. And so, yeah, that's been massive. I said it
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. To go through those cycles and not be carrying that shame and guilt. I mean, it's such an energetic expenditure to have that on top of all of the suffering with just the symptoms. So to remove that, I mean, you're just reclaiming so much bandwidth and really shifting your whole view of what's happening to you and the hope that you have for the
Mm,
future. The next one you said, but I want to read it to you. You said, my husband and I are on the same team. Rather than me being against him or him against me, it's us against luteal.
I love that. Yes, it's so true. And it's the best. And he is loving it too.
Yeah, yeah, he's been such a
Yeah.
part of your process, and it's so exciting to
Yeah.
see you guys team up together and make
Yeah.
this change. Another thing you said was this was a harder cycle, and you were referring to some circumstances that had happened, but you said I didn't spiral.
Yeah, that was crazy. To have like my first cycle where I didn't have a spiral day was like really wild to me. I don't remember what specific month that was, that when what was going on, but again, it was like every month this summer that I had, like, it felt like a big test because it was like different things were piling up. And so to have gone through different things and to not have a spiral day was like, whoa, I'm like superwoman. And I feel like like to not have that was really big. Um, yeah.
The last one was, which plays into what you're saying, but you said, I feel strong and like I can handle hard things.
Mm, yeah. That's like really sweet to hear back. Like, yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, we don't you generally feel like that when we're navigating these symptoms. It
Mm-mm.
cuts you down again and again. You really start to question your ability, question yourself. Definitely not feeling like we can do anything, especially not hard things. So
Mm-hmm.
to be able to say something like that as you're learning to reduce and manage these symptoms and navigate them
Mm-hmm.
differently is really proof of
Yeah.
how much work you put in and how much better you're feeling and just like how much of a perspective shift that you experience through the process.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So before we wrap up, I'm wondering if you have a message of hope for others, thinking back to yourself in April when we started, you were feeling really hopeless, you were feeling really desperate about how these symptoms were impacting you. You weren't sure, what was going to happen, if you were going to be able to find relief. And now being on the other side of the symptom transformation, going through the process, I'm wondering, you are in a unique position to offer a message of hope. So, anything that you would like to share
Yeah.
with others out there who are still suffering and feeling lost and hopeless and
Yeah.
desperate?
Yeah. I think when I first found out what was going on, it felt like there was a big light that was like shining into this, like the darkest part of my life. And um yeah, there's light, like you don't have to be in the dark. And there is there's a community that wants to help you. And there is help there for you. Um and that was the biggest thing for me, is just that there's light coming. Like there were so many like verses and songs that would just like stand out to me in the area of light, because it felt so dark and so shameful. And so that's like been huge for me. And then also, you're so much more than your emotions. And that was something that you shared with me, I think in our last session. Like, as a feeler and as someone with PMDD, there was just so many emotions, and I still have a lot of emotions, but like you have so much more to offer than just like, here's my emotions. And that was like a good identity shift. Like, there's so much more to you, and you're so loved, and there's people around you that want to love and care for you, and you don't have to run anymore. Um, so stop running and let the light in, and you can heal, and it's going to be good.
So beautiful, Mariah. I'm healing just listening to you say all of that. I'm
Oh,
feeling more hopeful. It's so true and it's so beautifully and well said. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing
yeah.
that and your
Thank
story.
you so much.
It's been
Thank
such
you
a
for being a
pleasure.
part of it. Seriously, it means
Yeah.
so much to me.
Yeah, it was my honor and pleasure, and I'm so excited to see how this continues to play out for you and what you fill all of that time with that you were managing symptoms
Yes.
before.
New hobbies.
Awesome, Mariah.
Oh,
Well,
thank you
thanks.
so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks again for being here.